The joint session of the special session of the 68th Legislative Assembly will come to order. The House will be back in order, and the House will be on the 8th order of business. Representative Louser.
Mr. Speaker, I move that a committee of two be appointed to escort the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Tammy Miller to the rostrum.
The question is on the motion of Representative Louser. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. The Speaker appoints Representative Bigesaw and Representative Beckadall to the next court committee. Senator, excuse me. Mr. Sergeant at Arms.
It's on.
Mr. Speaker, may I present the Lieutenant Governor?
Representative Louser.
Mr. Speaker, I move that a committee of four be appointed to escort the Honorable Doug Burgum, Governor, to the podium, and that Governor Burgum's remarks be submitted to the front desk and be printed in the Journal.
The question is on the motion of Representative Louser that a committee of four be appointed to escort the Honorable Doug Burgum, Governor, to the podium, and that the Governor's remarks be printed in the Journal. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. The Speaker appoints Representative LaFleur and Representative Ista. Senators Hogue and Senators Hogan.
Mr. Speaker, may I present Governor Burgum.
Let the committee be received.
Well, good morning, North Dakota. What a beautiful fall day we have here today. Mr. Speaker, Lieutenant Governor Miller, distinguished members of the 68th Legislative Assembly, Chief Justice Jensen and the Justices of the Supreme Court, all the fellow elected officials, tribal leaders, cabinet members, First Lady Catherine, and of course, family and friends, and all fellow citizens of North Dakota, welcome and thank you for joining us today, whether it's here in person, online, or over the airwaves. It's not only my duty, but my great honor to address this special convening of the 68th Legislative Assembly. Tammy, Catherine, and I are grateful to serve the incredible citizens of North Dakota every day. And a historic day like today is no different. Today marks only the 17th special session in our state's 134-year history. At this time of global conflicts and national economic uncertainty, we're so blessed. We're so blessed to live in a state with abundant resources, safe communities, a thriving economy, and citizens who cherish the values of freedom and liberty. We're here today because a long-standing legislative process has been deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. This process of using the Office of Management Budget's appropriation bill as an omnibus bill at the end of the session had been in practice for at least 3 decades. But as a result of the Supreme Court's ruling last month, Senate Bill 2015, the OMB budget bill, is now void. Without action, there is no appropriations authority to pay our OMB team members on November 1st, and that agency and the many services it provides will effectively be shut down. As you know, Senate Bill 2015 also contains 68 sections, and those provisions beyond the OMB budget must also be addressed during the special session. I know that we've got some Supreme Court members here and some watching, and I do want to just share my personal gratitude with all of them for not having in their recent opinion a portion that would apply to a single subject for State of the State addresses, because I'll be addressing multiple subjects today. But thanks to the work of Legislative Counsel, this Assembly will consider some straightforward, simple, and procedural fixes to the OMB challenge. But beyond that, I do want to challenge all of you here today in the legislature. And I want to challenge this legislative body to seize on this historic opportunity to provide tax relief to our citizens whose family budgets have been hit hard by inflation, and to make strategic investments in our state's economic future. This is all made possible, this challenge of tax relief and investments, by a record-ending fund balance driven by higher than forecasted revenue and turnback. Conservative budgeting and wise investments by you, our legislature, and our thriving economy, driven by entrepreneurs with a strong focus on innovation over regulation, has created this opportunity to take action for the benefit of our citizens. I'd like to especially thank Majority Leaders LaFleur and Hogue and Minority Leaders Ista and Hogan for their leadership and their dedication to all North Dakotans. We also today give our thanks to our military members for defending our freedom, the freedom that allows a body of democratically elected senators and representatives like this to convene and conduct business on behalf of the people. We need to recognize now that not every nation has this and not every country has what we're doing here today. Democratically elected government. And this thank you especially includes our courageous and highly skilled North Dakota National Guard members. Last week, another 125 soldiers deployed to help U.S. Customs and Border Protection secure our southern border. They and our fellow men and women in uniform have earned our thanks and our respect. So to all military members, past and present, and your families, we share our gratitude for your incredible service and sacrifice. Will those in this chamber, whether you're a member of the legislature or visiting today, if you've served in the past or if you're currently serving, could you please stand and be recognized? Let's hear it for our military members. Sadly, there's one member of the military and of this assembly whose presence in this chamber and on this earth is greatly missed today. Senator Doug Larson was a true patriot who served his community, his state, and his country with honor, courage, and dignity. The sudden and tragic loss of Senator Larson, his wife Amy, and their beautiful children, Christian and Everett, has profoundly impacted their family and friends, the Mandan community, and of course, this assembly, and all those in state government and in our National Guard who are touched by his passionate service. Senator Larson's legacy will live on in these chambers and in the work that you carry on in his honor and memory. including preserving the individual liberties and freedoms that he fought so hard to protect as both a legislator and as a lieutenant colonel in the North Dakota National Guard. Please join me in a moment of silence for Senator Larson and his family. May they rest in peace. Thank you. We also continue to hold in our hearts all the victims of the terrorist attacks in Israel and pray for those that are still in harm's way or those that are being held hostage. 2 weeks ago today, I was on the phone with Father Phil Ackerman as he led a group of 84 North Dakotans on a Holy Land tour of Israel. On that call, we were discussing how we could assist in getting his group home safely. He explained his group was very eager to get home, but in good spirits, and we all give gratitude for their safe return. Our support and longtime friend and ally Israel, our support for them is unwavering. And today I have issued a proclamation declaring a week of prayer for Israel. While doing so, we pray for all innocent citizens impacted by the terrorist attacks, including Americans, Israeli citizens, and all others. We will continue to stand firmly beside our allies and resolutely oppose the evil forces that are bent on committing atrocities against them and against Americans. Almost 10 months ago, on January 3rd, as this assembly convened in regular session, you heard from me that the state of the state was one of strength and infinite opportunity, blessed with our abundant natural resources, inherent freedoms, and industrious, caring people. Those words remain just as true now as they were then, and our list of best state achievements continues to grow. We're the fourth youngest state and the fourth best state to raise a family, and that matters. Coming off of 7 decades of shrinking population, now we're a place where young people want to stay and grow. Because of your support, we're the second in the nation in infrastructure, and that matters when we're competing for capital investment from the private sector. We have the second happiest workforce, which is really something, and we're the #1 state for business friendliness. Again, a credit to you and the work of this body for all the red tape you've been cutting, passing 51 red tape reduction bills last year. We're #1 in labor force participation. This is a challenge all over the country, but North Dakota is the hardest working state in the nation, and that matters. North Dakota companies are hiring. Total employment is growing, up more than 3% from a year ago, and our unemployment rate, 1.9%, second lowest in the United States. Give yourselves a hand for the incredible work that we're all doing there. And when North Dakota's economy is strong, our state tax revenues follow. On June 30th, we closed out the 2021-2023 biennium with a record general fund ending balance of nearly $1.5 billion. That's billion with a B, and that's record since the beginning of statehood. This is $288 million over the legislative forecast estimate from April due to strong revenue collections and more general fund turnback from agencies than expected. And that's just the ending balance. Let's look at the reserves. Our rainy day budget stabilization fund, also at a record high, $944 million. Foundation Aid Stabilization Fund, which is a special K-12 rainy day fund, stands at $428 million. Common Schools Trust Fund now sits around $6 billion. Strategic Investments and Improvement Fund ended the biennium. We had $1.5 billion in the general fund ending balance. We had $1.5 billion in SIF, of which over $370 million is unobligated. Legacy Fund is valued at just below $10 billion, continues to grow rapidly each month. And as we project that we will end the current budget cycle in June 2025 with an unobligated general fund balance of $417 million, between that and the unobligated portion of SIF, there is plenty of cushion for the current budget. On top of that, after just 3 months, July, August, September, we're running $52 million or 6.1% ahead of forecast for this biennium. When our state collects more than it needs to operate and more than it needs to fill or overfill our reserves, our first option should always be to return the excess money to taxpayers. And we should ensure that any tax dollars that are being utilized or have a high return on investment for our taxpayers. But here we are, by a twist of fate, we now have a special session, and we have an opportunity to accelerate our economic success by capitalizing on this opportunity to provide tax relief and invest in our citizens and state's future. During your regular session last April, we worked together to pass and sign the largest income tax relief and property tax relief package in state history, providing a combined $515 million in savings for taxpayers. We zeroed out the bottom income tax brackets and combined the top 4 into 2, 1.95% for middle income and 2.5% for the top bracket. And we provided property tax relief by expanding the homestead tax credit and providing a primary resident tax credit. This week, given our financial windfall and that $288 million that came in between when you adjourned and when the fiscal year ended, we have an opportunity to provide additional income tax relief for hardworking North Dakotans. North Dakotans, like all Americans, they're suffering under the insidious effects of inflation. It's raising their costs and like a thief coming in the night and stealing your savings. Your bank account may say the same number, but your savings are worth about 30% less than they were just 2.5 years ago. We can save income taxpayers $91 million by raising the eligibility threshold for the bottom or zero bracket, that zero tax bracket, so that more North Dakotans will not have to pay any income tax. For single filers, the zero tax bracket's eligibility would increase from about $45,000 to $60,000. For married filing jointly, the cutoff would increase from $75,000 to $100,000. This will move about 50,000 more people who work and have income tax, 50,000 more workers into the zero tax bracket. They will no longer have to pay state income tax. 50,000 more filers, 50,000 more workers is more than the entire population of Minot and nearly the population of Grand Forks. What's great about this approach is it not only moves more earners into that zero tax bracket, it also helps the middle income filers who will have a greater share of their income not taxed by the state. And based on current average wages, those who will benefit from this include all the positions that we're challenging to fill in our state right now. Nurses, school teachers, construction workers, roofers, CDL truck drivers, the list goes on and on. And again, anyone already in that bottom zero tax bracket that had their state income tax zeroed out, they will continue to pay just that, zero. This $91 million in income tax relief will allow North Dakota workers to keep more of their hard-earned money in their pockets so they can invest it in their families, their communities, and themselves. This is a simple thing to do, and it's the right thing to do. This also will help us address our number one barrier to economic growth, which is our workforce shortage. Moving us closer to a zero-income tax state like the 7 other states that we compete with will help North Dakota compete, and it will help us compete with other states, not just for the talent, but for the capital, because today capital flows to where the workers are. And I've stated before, the zero-income tax states include states like Wyoming and Texas, other energy-producing states, Alaska, and South Dakota, our neighbor. These are people that we directly compete with for talent and capability. It will help all of our employers recruit and retain workers, and most importantly, it will benefit those individuals who are actually working. This benefit goes back to the people that are actually getting paychecks and paying taxes. They're contributing to our state's economic success, and this is the way we can support them. After funding the $91 million in tax relief package, this legislature would still find itself with nearly $200 million in extra cash laying around in low-interest bearing accounts. We propose investing 70 of that extra $200 million back into North Dakota Future to enhance our infrastructure and workforce attraction. If you're going to justify additional investments during a special session, and I know some of you are concerned about that, the bar should be set high. Investment should meet 3 strong criteria. They must build on an existing program that's already been vetted by all of you. They must meet a need that's in high demand and clearly oversubscribed with private sector interest, and they should have a statewide impact. But with these criteria as guardrails, we propose investing an additional $50 million of our excess revenue in the North Dakota Department of Transportation's Flexible Transportation Fund that you created last session. By making this investment, we can complete more road and bridge projects across the state that leverage federal funding and corridor improvements on county, city, and township roadways. And we can help advance very large private sector capital investments for value-added ag and value-added energy. All of this just makes common sense. Upgrading our roads will not only enhance the driving experience and safety for travelers across our state and support our farmers, our ranchers, our energy producers, manufacturers, and other industries that haul equipment and goods up and down North Dakota roads every day. Secondly, we propose investing an additional $20 million into the Destination Development Grant Program, to which you allocated $25 million last session. When this matching grant program was opened up for applications in July, the demand exceeded all expectations. We received 81 applications from every corner of the state seeking more than $151 million in funding. And remember, this is a match program. So these people are showing up and they want to invest alongside of us. This additional funding would remain capped at $5 million per project. So this would go to projects all over the state. We'd prioritize projects with private sector matches, and it would be utilized only for projects that have already submitted applications in that barrage of applications we got this summer. But by boosting the total grants to $45 million, we can support more private sector investment. We can create even more destinations that will attract visitors and workforce to our state, also strengthening our economy. Workforce continues to be our biggest barrier to economic growth. Our competition for workers never ends. We're always competing with other states to attract capital and talent. Low taxes, modern efficient infrastructure, exciting destinations and amenities, all of these make North Dakota more competitive in the battle for workforce. These investments will support growth, diversify our economy, and help every business in our state. There are also a very few and very specific low-hanging fruit items that can be resolved while you're here without adding any days to this short session. These include fixing the income tax exemption for military members to keep us on track towards being the most military-friendly state in the nation. Also some items like authorizing UND and Bismarck State College to receive non-state funding for campus improvements. Give them the authority to receive non-state funding. These are straightforward, common sense cleanup bills. They got introduced last week, but they were turned down. Let's show North Dakota that we can cut through the red tape and the bureaucracy. We're here. Let's be nimble, efficient, and wise. In our roles as representatives of the people of the great state of North Dakota, we have an opportunity every day to empower people, improve lives, and inspire success. We can enact the OMB budget. We can provide meaningful income tax relief. We can make strategic investments that will strengthen our economy and pave the way for a brighter future for North Dakota. You've all been here before. You've got this. We can make this happen. I'm confident that you can. President Theodore Roosevelt said, far and away, the best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. The agenda presented here is work worth doing. Let's work hard to capture that prize for the citizens of North Dakota. Thank you. God bless America, and God bless the great state of North Dakota.
Will the escort committee please come forward to escort the governor from the chambers? then will the escort committee please come forward to escort Lieutenant Governor Tammy Miller from the chambers.
Thanks for helping out.
Representative Lauser.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the joint session be dissolved.
The question is on the motion of Representative Lauser that the joint session be dissolved. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries and the joint session is declared dissolved.